Good morning, Nathan Goodrich, Operations Section Chief for Northwest Team 3 with your morning update of Labor Mountain. So I'll start here in Division Charlie, where there's been an extensive amount of work done in Division Charlie from the North Fork Junction down here all the way up here to DP 208. There's a series of rec residence cabins in there, Forest Service cabins, Tianaway cabin is in there also, and all that's been structure prepped, it's been wrapped, it's all secured, taken care of. The road's been brushed. We have several check lines in here for the potential future use in case we need to do some burning. The Beverly Creek Road's been brushed out. And so again, there's just been a ton of work that's gone into this drainage here from the resources here in Division Charlie. The rationale for doing all that work is this continued fire spread to the west. And if we end up needing to, we would implement this Beverly Creek Road firing, just similar to what we did on stand-up. And in getting ahead of that is the reason why we have all this prep work done. So currently, we're not anticipating having to do that anytime soon. The fire here has just progressed a little bit over the top of the ridge in between stand-up and Beverly drainage, and so it's pretty much holding there in place. But again, we got to make sure we have all our contingencies in place and ready to go for that. So they're going to continue doing that today. They got a little bit more to do up here in this upper areas, and then they're snagging and safing up a lot of the danger trees that are along the road here, and just getting everything ready on Division Charlie. Not to take anything away from Division Foxtrot, because they've been doing a lot of work as well, but there's just been a ton of effort that's gone into those values at risk there. So Division Foxtrot, not as many immediate values at risk, but still some values here with Forest Service infrastructure at the trailheads and bridges and that kind of thing all the way along the drainage here. The resources have, when we came down through stand-up and then we hit Stafford Creek drainage, so the fire's been burned all the way to the line to here, and this is looking really good and secure, all mopped up and taken care of. There's another little check line here that you see that it's being held up on. As this fire continues to kind of slowly pull down, they'll move over to another check line, which is here, and then we have another one that we've put into a pretty solid rock feature right in this area. And so the plan would be to just slowly, when this comes down, burn it to the next section, and then burn to the next section, and then we'll eventually get this secured and taken care of. And why we're doing that is to buy us time down here along this lower section before we get over here on this Miller Ridge, if we eventually need to. And so just continue to keep up with the fire and protect these values down here in the bottom. Make sure it doesn't flank along the lower sections and then make a big old run up the top of Miller here. So fire's backing a little bit in here. We've been holding that up with aviation, but predominantly it's very slow backing fire. And so if it does come across here in this area and gets into the upper part of the bowl, not a huge issue for us. It doesn't really impact any of our potential lines or any of the values at risk that are out there. And we'll likely see some increased growth over the next day or so with some wind, but it's not affecting our values down here. So the point of those check lines is to keep that lower section kind of in place and again kind of buy us a little bit more time. Very similar to what we're doing over here. We're doing the same thing here on the Miller Creek side. Not a whole lot of fire growth over the last few days. Some of these upper elevation patches have been continuing to burn, but again, this is a pretty slow moving backing fire, with honestly really good results as far as ecological on the ground. So not a lot of mortality coming down as it backs down into the drainage here. So it's looking pretty dang good. So the resources in Fox will continue holding and mopping and bringing those fire over to those check lines here today. Division Gulf, those resources are working on the Shazer Road. They're going to be pushing this old road out to gain some access up here to about this area here to gain a little bit more access to the Miller Ridge area. And if we need to get crews in here, it'll be a little bit easier for access. Also looking at some other opportunities over here on the Shazer Creek side, and we've continued to talk about this Jack Creek area. There just continues to be some recon out in that area, and no plan for doing any major contingency actions in that drainage. So overall, crews are continuing to implement the plan, those strategic actions that we've been talking about to protect values at risk to the south, the Teanaway forest here, and anything off to the west and southwest for protection for those values at risk. Overall, looking for a good day. We're looking for a weather change coming tomorrow. Today we got pretty stable weather, very similar to yesterday, but tomorrow starts a little bit of a cold front passage, and so we're looking for some increased relative humidities, lower temperatures, and increased winds on Labor Mountain, predominantly coming out of the northwest, and so that could impact and move the fire here a little bit. So, but again, I think with some of that precipitation potentially and some of the relative humidities being a little bit higher, we'll see some growth, but probably some limited growth there in Miller drainage. So that's your morning update for Labor Mountain. Thank you.